Welcome to the non-league show. I'm delighted to have on former Sunderland, Doncaster Rovers and plenty of other clubs as well. Martin Woods, delighted to have him on. Here he is, top man.
Nice to see you, mate.
Nice to see you, mate. Delighted to have you on. So,
good to be on, mate.
I want to go obviously start right from the start. Growing up you were born in Scotland, weren't you?
Yeah.
Do you want to quickly talk about obviously growing up in Scotland and what was that like?
Yeah, a long time ago, jeez. It was good. I've had a good upbringing. Pretty solid family unit. Came up, and then my kind of first club in Scotland was Celtic. I was lucky enough to go in there when I was, what age was I signing with Celtic? 11.
Wow.
And then eventually I had a decision to make at Celtic. They didn't allow you to play with Scotland or your counties or your school team and everything. So it was basically, if you signed there, it was something called an S form. You would then be tied into Celtic then until you're 16 and nobody could see you.
Right.
So it's pretty.
Yeah.
I then as being a big Celtic fan, I had to make a decision and say the right thing for me would be this was a family decision, would be to come down to England.
Right.
So luckily enough, when I was 14, the headmaster basically says to me that we understand that football's your thing.
Yeah.
Basically underhand way saying you're not the brightest son. We can't be arsed with you in school, so get out. No, they were saying that to go and we'll back you if you want to go to any teams in England, go down. So I ended up finding myself going kind of a little tour of England. I went to all kind of the big clubs. They all seemed to kind of play with Scotland in the Victory Shield, so I ended up going to like Arsenal, Tottenham, Man U, Liverpool. I went to kind of them all. Wow. For 2 weeks at a time. I was going round, so I was lucky enough to do that. Then I come back to school for a couple of weeks, and then go to another club, and it was good. It wasn't good for my schoolwork, but it was good. It was good experience. And then I decided at that stage that I was going to sign with Leeds. After doing that for about a year, I then agreed to sign with Leeds, roughly kind of when I was 15, and then moved down to Leeds my 16th birthday in January.
Brilliant. So obviously you did make an appearance at Leeds as well. Obviously spent around 2 years, was it, about Leeds?
No, I was three and a half
years. Enjoy your time at Leeds?
It was brilliant. It was a great, when I first signed, there was a big change around from starting to finishing at Leeds. It was Champions League when I signed with David O'Leary. It was a lot of great coaches and people there. The lads was brilliant. That was the main reason why I signed. It was like a lot of Scottish and Irish, and it was good. I felt really at home. And it was an easy transition to move from home to that environment. All the lads under the same building, a hostel at the training ground, which was a bit naughty at times. It was up to a bit of mischief and stuff at times at night. But it was a great learning curve. It was great. You never had that stage where you were feeling lonely because there was always so many bodies around you. So that was great. So when I came down there, it was all good, and enjoyed learning through these coaches and getting pushed in a daily and learning things as I went, and ended up I made an appearance, but that was in the Championship for Leeds, so that was at the back end of my time at Leeds. It went from Champions League to Championship, which was it was just mental. So that was a strange setup. Ended up coming on against Sunderland, and then I signed for Sunderland that summer.
Brilliant. You obviously had a time when, did you go to Hartlepool on loan as well?
I did.
Was that like a good way to like kind of adapt into men's football? Because obviously you were at Leeds, obviously you signed, like you said, when you were 16, and you probably weren't used to probably senior football then. Was that a good way of obviously building into men's football? Yeah,
so that was the season I ended up making my debut for Leeds, that I went on loan at Hartlepool. Yeah. So in a way I felt as if I was outgrowing the reserves a wee bit, that I was doing well every game, and I was ready for a challenge type thing. Went in and spoke to the manager at the time, and he said the only option that had come in at the time was for Hartlepool in League One to go on loan, or the best option, he said. So I ended up going there, and I really liked it. It was good. It was good lads, and playing men's football, as you say, and learning, and something's at the end of a game rather than just that it's all about learning. It was something's actually on this game. People's got their families, they've got bills to pay, they've got men that are out there earning for their families, so it was something totally different. So that was a good experience. But then it was strange because it turns out it wasn't the only team that wanted me on loan. Mick McCarthy told me in the summer that they tried to get me on loan, but Sunderland they won the league that year in the Championship. But Kevin Blackwell never told me that Sunderland had went in. It was only Hartlepool that was the option.
Right.
So it's strange how these things end up coming out. But anyway, ends up going to Sunderland in the summer, and then I really liked it there as well.
Brilliant. So obviously, being at Hartlepool as well, obviously you're a young lad, obviously going down. Did they like kind of put you in a house up there, or because obviously it's quite a bit away from Leeds?
It was. They had an agreement that I could train at Leeds at the start of the week, and then I'd train at Hartlepool at the back end of the week. So I'd stay the end of the week at Hartlepool, train Thursday, Friday, play the game on the Saturday. But my first time going there, I met up with the boys. Hadn't met them before. Met them in a match day.
Right.
So they were travelling from Hartlepool. We were playing Oldham, and I met up with the boys at Wetherby, and I was the only one going on at Wetherby.
Yeah.
Oh mate,
didn't
have a trackie. So walking on in my only gear, went to sit down, and lad goes like that to me, oh, so somebody's up making food up the back. So I go and really ready to sit in his seat. The boy's like, sit there mate. Just like, oh jeez, somebody just please tell me where to sit. Like this is totally bad. I just wanted to sit down because I was going red. So anyway, ends up finding a seat, sat down, but that was me walking on that bus, mate, bag of nerves. Thinking, oh dearie me, this is proper football now, where you need to kind of go and turn into a man and learn things.
Out of your comfort zone, innit, as well.
Big time. And that one bus journey, that was straight in the deep end. So I was getting ready on the bus into the trackie, hadn't even met the boys, to then try to nick somebody's seat, and he's saying, that's mine. So that didn't help me to find her seat. I had to go and find that myself, and I end up sitting at the fire exit, mate, on the steps or something. But it was good, and all these things just make you grow up, don't you? You just need to come out your shell a little bit, and I was never really a shy lad, but it was these things are the learning curves. It's always good for you.
Brilliant. So obviously, like you said, like you mentioned there, obviously going across to Sunderland, obviously, especially when they've been in the Premier League as well, I bet that were a good experience, obviously playing in the highest level of English football. Do you want to quickly explain about your time at Sunderland as well, because you were actually playing under Mick McCarthy as well. What was he like to play under?
Brilliant.
Was he?
Mick McCarthy was a great guy, really honest, kind of like a father figure. He'd want so much for you, and he'd really care about you individually, and it was a shame at the time, mate, that we'd never get battered in many games although it was Premier League, we'd never get battered, but we were always kind of losing by a goal. So our points tally ended up horrendous. I ended up making a few appearances. I was always on the bench, but made a few appearances, and it was a great experience in a way, but something that I could take a lot from, to learn from, because it's just that's the pinnacle. That's what you've got to get to, and I wasn't ready for that stage. I wasn't good enough at that stage to do that. I didn't have the mentality right to go and perform at that level. I was always coming on and kind of playing safe, so I wasn't making mistakes. Instead of going on, and you see some lads that burst on the scene and they're like, give me the ball, I'll make something happen, and the fans back them anyway. They're young guys coming on. Instead of me having that mentality, it was more, I don't want to be the one making a mistake, so I'll just play it dead nice and simple, and you play within yourself then, and you go in a little bit of a shell as well. So that was a big learning curve, but I hadn't had any real experience apart from that couple of months at Hartlepool, so I wasn't prepared at all for that. But he was brilliant to play under. He'd always come to the games, and the reserve games I'd play a lot with the reserves, and I'd be on the bench at the weekend. I got on sometimes I wouldn't for the first team, but he was always there for you, and really honest guy. He didn't do much of the coaching, but the boys knew where they were up to him, and he would always give his honest opinion, and straightforward. Really good guy.
Was he quite a character as well? Could he have, like, obviously there was that stern side to him, but was that side to him where you could have probably a laugh with him as well?
Yeah. He had that serious one where you thought he was really being serious with you, but then he'd burst out laughing a minute later. I think, wow, you've just proper done me there. Because he's that type of character. He's a big guy, and but the boys all loved him. They were honestly, when he gets sacked there, I was holding the tears back. It was that type of effect, because he didn't deserve it. He got a horrendous budget for the league, and then it comes, end up getting relegated back to the Championship, but somebody comes in, a new owner, and they chuck money about at it, and you think he deserved more money to go and play, and he deserved that. He earned it, really. So everybody was gutted to see him go. That was good. It was a great experience, to be fair. Some things I'll never forget, playing at certain places, but I wasn't ready for it mentally.
Yeah, so obviously playing in front of 40,000 at the Stadium of Light and stuff like that. Do you reckon that obviously gave you a bit of a reality check later on, like at that point in your career, a bit of a reality check, thinking, right, I've got a lot more work to do to obviously play at that level?
100%. Definitely. If I'd have got the opportunity, I'm not saying I was ever capable of playing in the Premier League, you never know, but if I got the opportunity a few years later, I was certainly ready for it more mentally. But I think that just comes with game time and experience. But it's by that time my chance had been and gone, so I was close to it a few years later, getting back up to that level. And I would have been more, I'm not saying again I would have been ever good enough to play at that level, but I certainly would have gave it a better crack, just with the experience that I had gained from that, and just not playing so safe and just kind of going back yourself and go and try and make stuff happen, because as I said before, fans will always back a young guy. They can take mistakes for a young guy, but it was quite a poisonous atmosphere that year.
Because of how they were doing.
Because they're so passionate, they want the best for the team. You had fans running on the pitch at the keeper and try to get to our own keeper, and it was a bit poisonous at times, but they just really care about the football club, and it's a great football club, and it's good to see them bouncing up a division now, and they deserve to go one more, in my opinion anyway.
So moving over to obviously Rotherham from Sunderland, they're in the Championship at the time. Obviously spent, I think it was a season there, were it? And you obviously massive part of the squad, 36 appearances I think, something like that. Did you enjoy your time there?
Yeah, I did. Loved it. It was a club where I think they kind of based a lot around me. So obviously, I felt as if I'd get without being disrespectful. I didn't think I'd have dropped because I'd played a few appearances in the Premier League that season. I didn't envisage dropping. My agent at the time was like, "You get a Championship club, like you'll be fine," because he basically stitched me up with Sunderland. Sunderland were in a transition period where they had no manager and no chairman. So the chief exec was at a stage where he was making the decisions. So my agent says he was promised a 3-year deal previous, like when Mick McCarthy was manager, but Mick McCarthy said to me he was going to give me the last 10 games. So when he said to me he was going to give me the last 10 games, I went away with Scotland under 21s in a rolled my ankle, and then in that period he gets sacked. So then I went from thinking I'll hold off with the contract, play these games and I'll be in a better position, to then roll my ankle with Scotland 21s, him getting sacked, me missing some of them games, and then coming back in at the end with a caretaker manager, to then my agent saying, right, we promised that, he wants an answer, what's going on? And he's like, I'm not in a position, I'm a chief exec, I'm not in a position, I'm not a manager, there's no chairman. And he says, but if you want an answer from me, I can't give him a yes, so it's a no, because I don't have a manager to ask, I don't have a chairman. So if you're pushing me, then anybody that's pushing, then it's a no. So it went that weird, mate, that there was lads that weren't even playing with the reserves that were getting 3 and 4 year deals at Sunderland. And I was still only young, I was 19, 20 at the time. Having made a few appearances, if he'd have kept his nose clean, I'd have probably been at Sunderland for a lot longer. But he was like, no, you'll get a good Championship club. To then people looking and saying he's not played many games. Me dropped my full league out of Championship and into League One with Rotherham, and Rotherham started the season with a points deduction because of financial fair play stuff, or financial reasons. So I ended up, I was right in the firing line, but the manager was brilliant. It was Alan Nowell, really good guy. He was Chef Hughes' assistant, now he's Middlesbrough's assistant. Wilder, good guy, good coach. So he kind of made a big deal of it, and I felt that, and it was that was time to wake up, like in the sense I'd had things pretty nice at Leeds, Sunderland, big clubs, nice play now and again at Sunderland, and everything's lovely, to then you're washing your own kit, you're need to get to certain places on. Like I used to always live right next to the training grounds, so I didn't even drive. I'd be getting it. Everything was just easy. Do you know? To then now, right, you're in now League One, and you've got a lot of, as I said before about Hartlepool, it's guys that are out there earning money for their families, so you've got to then screw your head, and I had to screw my head. It was either sink or swim. It was either you fight back and play games here and show that you can play football, or you just fall by the wayside and just end up one of the boys that had potential but never done it. So then fought back, had a good season, and really I loved it. And it was good. It was good. It was probably the best thing that happened for me at that stage, was going to Rotherham and
starting fresh, weren't you?
And learning properly. It was me. I had to fight back. It was me. Everything wasn't getting done. I wasn't getting my arse wait for me, pretty much. You know what I mean? It was now all on my shoulders, and I stood up to it, mate, and had a good season, and I really enjoyed it, to be fair.
Brilliant. So obviously, I bet you've noticed the change in, obviously, like you said, when you started at Hartlepool, when you've got to do everything for yourself, do you know what I mean, clean your own training kit and stuff like that. Have you kind of noticed, obviously as the years have gone on, how obviously things are getting more done for you, like, if that makes sense? Because obviously you had a lot of period of time at Donny when they were successful in the Championship and stuff like that. Obviously, did you see like the changing kind of the generation kind of thing, where obviously more stuff gets done for you in some way?
Now, like, I still done jobs.
Really?
I still done jobs at Leeds. I was still seen as a young guy at Sunderland, so anything needs done, even a brew on the bus, it was youngest gets it done. Now I try and test young lads in the bus and that, and they'll say stuff to me like, I'll just make your own. I'm like, what? Like, no, but you're just trying to test them in a way. I'm not saying I'm lazy, I'm not going to make my own brew, but respect's kind of gone in a way that I'd have just jumped up if somebody said to me when I was young, can you make us a brew?
You'd have done it,
no bother at all. I mean, half the journey you felt as if you were stood up making brews, but it's just a respect in the generation where people maybe think you're bullying. Like, I don't know what way it's looked at now, like you're bullying, no, but it's not. It's just the same as opening a door up for an older person, doing certain things it's just built in you when you're young, that I think you should have respect for your elders, and you try and just see test it out a wee bit at times and see how young guys would. I'm not arsed if it makes me, but I don't even like teas, to be honest. I have a coffee, but I don't really like tea, so I just see what they do sometimes. And you get some lads that are like no bother at all, they're very respectful. I just think it's how you're brought up. But I think a lot of it ties in with they feel as if they don't need to do jobs and they don't need to do this and that, which I think it grounds you in it. You need to fight to get something. So you feel as if, like, when you're cleaning people's boots in the first day, you want to get to the stage where your boots are getting cleaned. So you're getting something kind of, do you know what, it's
working
even a daft thing, but it's still in my head. I was thinking, I wish one day somebody was cleaning my boots, you know what I mean? But now it's just like, I'm not cleaning MD's boots, and they wouldn't do jobs, and it's good for the kit man and all to get a wee hand as well, but it's just, that's all stopped.
Like, you've probably noticed that change, obviously, when you've been a young lad and stuff you had to do, and obviously now when you're more one of the older experienced players and seeing what the younger lads are like, I bet it's strange to see in it a little bit as well, how things change.
It's frustrating. You'll see some young lads that will be the first in the motor and away. You think, mate, what are you doing? Like, go in the gym, try and get better, like, practice things you're not so good at. But some lads are just, they like to say they're footballers, I think now, mate. Some, not all, definitely not all, but some like to say, I play football on Instagram and whatever, and try and look cool and that. But they need to have a career a longevity, you need to work hard and continue to work hard and have standards all day. So I think these little things, they set you up to have standards, and you can take them forward, you know, to be organised with your kit. If you're organising kit for first team, you'll be able to organise your own kit. Then you take it forward, you're always organised with your kit, you're there on time, you're doing things properly, it's just little things, little 1% that everybody goes on about. They all add up, so it's not all young lads at all, but there has been big changes, to be fair, which is quite frustrating to see. But it's just it's the world we're in now, mate. I don't think there's sometimes I look even out in the street, respect, I think's gone a wee bit the way it used to be out in the street, where people don't hold doors open for older people, and they don't. It's just how you're brought up, I think, at times as well, mate. But that's life. I sound like an old pensioner but it's quite frustrating, that.
Obviously, moving over to probably you spent most of your time at Doncaster Rovers. Obviously, it was probably one of the most successful periods in the club's history, probably in when they were in the Championship under Sean O'Driscoll, and obviously spent a bit of time under Dean Saunders as well. We want to quickly talk about your time at Doncaster Rovers as well, because you made plenty of appearances, massive part of obviously one of the most successful kind of periods in the club. So do you want to quickly talk about your time there?
I loved it, to be fair. I loved it. Well, obviously the initial part, my first few years were really successful, enjoyed it, felt as if it was a big part of things, to then my last 2 years having an injury that I really struggled with, and it put me in quite a dark place, to be honest with you. Couldn't see a way back. I thought I'd need to retire. So it was a mixed time. Loved it. The best team that I've played in the sense of I played with better players, different places, obviously, that I've mentioned before, clubs that I've played, but as a team unit and a style of play that Sean O'Driscoll set us up as, then I've never been able to recreate that anywhere else, because of the style of play, the lads, how honest the group was, the flexibility within the group, how it was played. It was great. It was really good time to then, at the back end of my time there, really fearing for my career in a way, mate, that I thought it was all over. 4 operations, just put me in a dark place, and maybe people think, because I was at the stage where there was bids getting put in from other clubs for me to go. They got rejected from the club, to then 6 months later me signing a new contract for the year, to then 6 months later me missing the best part of 2 and a bit year of that. So people then think that you're just rinsing the club for but I was suffering a lot. It put me in a pretty dark place, mate. I can speak about it now, but I was really struggling. I was losing weight, I was struggling to eat, like I couldn't see way back. Just had a new baby born, and I'm thinking, how am I going to provide? Like I've not done anything else, football's all I've known. So that was a tough period, that back end. But to start to talk about the initial part, it was brilliant. And I still watch. I get sent through things to watch back. I got sent through a video, a full game that we had last week, actually, a full game that we had back then against, I can't remember who, it was Forest that we played, and it's just great to watch. Great memories, and it just makes it all flood back how actually good it was to play in that team. Flexibility and the way people moved off each other, it was superb, and that was all down to the manager and his beliefs. It was way before his time, to be fair. He was the best I've worked under as a coach, by far. As a coach, by far. Nobody's came close since. He was different, as I said. He was way before his time. He had some strange methods and ways. His personal skills at times, he would be, people would be thinking, they don't know where they stand with him. Good guy, but an incredible coach. And I think you see that era, how many lads that are starting to get into coaching from that era. You've got Brian Stock, who coaches now, who's switched on. Richie Wellens obviously was here, it never worked out for him here, but Richie's forced a career for his selling management. You've got Jim O'Connor, who's at Kidderminster, who's just starting out doing good things down there. You've got Simon Gillett, who's now a coach he's a scout, one of the big scouts at Chelsea. You've got obviously Cops here as director of football, sporting director. You've got, I think, who else is kicking about, mate?
Do you reckon that was probably down to them learning from him, and do you reckon they'll take some bits of what they learned from him?
100%.
Do you reckon?
You'd be a fool not to take some of the things with him. It's how you would now recreate that with a group of lads nowadays. It takes such an honest group to carry out what he wanted. You've got to be honest, you've got to be able to accept criticism, You've got to be able to have really high standards daily, and if anybody slips away from it as a group, you've got to tell them you slip away from it.
Yeah.
Can you do that? You can do it in different ways now with young guys, but but you need the right group that really can accept things getting said, and they can accept getting driven every day, and standards need to be high. But that as a group was dynamite to work in, to be fair. It was great.
Obviously I know that I didn't know that you had an injury, but I didn't know it was that severe. So obviously we'll just quickly go on about it. So obviously the start of your career with Donny was brilliant. Obviously the mental impacts of obviously having an injury can be, obviously like you said, in your case, can be massive. Would you say that's probably the lowest point of your career, your football career?
Definitely, aye. Definitely, because I was in the brink of things. I mean, there was quite a lot of hype. That's why I said there was a possible chance of getting back to playing at that level later on, and that's while I was at Donny. And I had actually been called up to Scotland's first team squad. Wow. But I got injured and had to miss out on the summer trip to Japan. Had to miss out on that, and then going through all that to then thinking it's all over. And then coming back and your body's just stiff,
not the same,
and getting used to playing again. It was a long period out. It was hard for me mentally, but that was a difficult time in life, to be fair. But you've got to just fight through. You just keep going, and I eventually found a way of getting everything sorted. I paid a lot of money out of my own pocket to go to different places and find different things and not just go for operations for the sake of getting an operation. That's kind of what it was at the time. I had 4 operations for the same thing, which you felt that you're just like a test dummy. I'm like, can somebody just look at me differently in a way here? Do you know what I mean? Eventually got to the bottom of it, and that's probably the most frustrating part of it, that if I'd have went to this guy previous, I probably wouldn't have needed any operations, and it'd have been no period of time. And then you think, I know people say don't say what if, but then you do get thinking. I'm not in that space now at all, but what if, you do think that way. Well, as you see the guy, he came to me. I know it's easy to say that, but what he fixed me doing, it wasn't that difficult for him. But it's looking at things slightly different, not just thinking, right, surgery. So that's when the what ifs came in back then. You think, what if I had went to him before? But that's all gone out of my head years and years ago. You've just got to crack on, fight through, and try and get back. And to be fair, I'd say it took me a good year to find my bearings again, my legs again. I went to Barnsley. I signed back with Donny. So I left in the summer after my contract ended. I signed a month-to-month contract due to my injury problems. But that was all a period where I'm still getting used to my body again, and that was a strange time as well, because it's an unforgiving level, the championship at times. That if you're not bang at it, then you get found out. I'd have certain games that were good, certain games that are bad, like every other guy that comes back from injury, but then you're a few years older, so the moves are probably dead, so then you've got to set new targets and new goals. That's what I've done ever since. So I must have done something alright, because I'm 36, I'm still playing in there, So and I feel really good. So it's what if in some ways, but proud in another way that I've fought through, and I still maintain fitness now, and I can hopefully continue playing now for another however long my body takes me. But at the minute there's no rest up, my body feels great. It's just other factors that come into it when you get a bit older. People will maybe look at things differently. So.
Obviously, just a quick one. Obviously, because you were obviously out for so long, and obviously you came back. Did it affect your confidence at all playing? Obviously thinking, obviously it's in the back of your head all the time about your injury, innit? So did it kind of affect you? How long did it kind of affect you before kind of it moved away from the back of your head about having the injury?
I don't know if you've seen much of the way I played before, mate, but I was very energetic, and I played in the front foot a lot, and I'd be a midfielder that would always kind of join in. I'd play in the front foot. To then needing to kind of recreate me as a player,
change
because
you.
I couldn't do what I'd done that when I came back. I couldn't play in the front foot because my legs weren't ready to do it. I mean, a few years later I was able to, but it takes a while. The cycle takes a while to do it. So confidence does take a hit because you're gutted that you can't do what you've done previously. Your mind knows what to do, but you think, I know I can't do that because I'll not be able to do that. Like, do you know? So you need to recreate and think a different strategy of how to play. So that's frustrating. But you just got to crack on, mate, and you just got to keep positive and just plough on, and hopefully you'll get through the difficult periods. And there was still difficult periods coming back, but nothing like when you're injured. You'll take bad games, you know what I mean. You'll deal with all flack if you're getting grief about playing rubbish or whatever. You'll deal with that. It's when you can't play and you can't find a way back. That's when you go to a bad place. So what I did anyway. So that was a tough period as well. So I've never kind of doubted that I can play football. It was my legs when I came back that I was worried about. And it was never doubting I'm getting into a tackle, because mine was a muscular injury. It was my groin. It wasn't as if I'd done my knee bad or my ankle or whatever, and I was worried about impact injuries. It was literally worried about, like, when I'm taking a step back, I'm not going to be quick enough to do that because I've not been on my legs for basically 2 and a bit years. Do you know? So that's the bit where my confidence suffered. But that's part of it, isn't it, mate? It's all a big roller coaster, isn't it?
Brilliant. So obviously going back, obviously you made the move back to Scotland with Ross County. Obviously a big part there as well, a big part of the squad there and stuff like that. Obviously winning the League Cup as well when you were there. What was it like, obviously going back home in some essence, and play? What was
it? A bit further away. It's mad, isn't it?
Obviously, what I was wanted to ask as well, what was the standard like compared to the Championship and the Premier League? I was actually quite keen to find out.
Ross County, I never wanted to go back to Scotland and play football.
Did you not?
No, never. But I'd had 2 years out. I would had then a transition year of getting used to my body. To them, my options were pretty limited, where it was League 2, League 1, some that I thought, go up the road, go up to Scotland again, you're playing the Premier League. The thing I would say about the league is there's so much more surrounding it, that you're in the papers every day, your games are on the telly. There's so much positives towards it, but the league as a whole is totally contrast. Like, there's big contrasts. Like, you've got Celtic, Rangers, you've got Aberdeen, Hearts that are good teams, Hibs are a good team, but then you could play like Livingston on an Astro, you could play Kilmarnock on an Astro. It's just strange. Strange. So you've got different leagues within the one league. So, and we were part of the Ross County the same. We were part of the, especially when I signed, we were right in a dogfight straight away. So my first season there, I signed in November. Because I went over to, after leaving Barnes, I went over to New York Red Bulls that summer. I was going to sign over there, but the deal never worked out that I couldn't move the family over, so I ended up going to Ross County. So it was going to be New York to then living in Inverness. So it was a bit strange, mate. So you're saying going home, but that's still 3.5 hours from my home in Glasgow, so I may as well be living here. So that was that wee period there. So I ended up going back up the road and we were right in a dogfight. I think the team had 6 points. It was November, so we bottom of the league, and the manager brought in loads of new players. And then from February on, it was either January or February on, we were the most informed team in Europe.
Bloody hell.
We went from top of rock bottom of the league, no way out, to then turning it full round and staying up pretty comfortably. So it was a mental turnaround. We won like 12 games out of 14 or something. It was like mad. So at one stage we were the most informed team in Europe. It was nuts, to be fair.
Crazy,
nuts. The run of games we'd done at that time, it was mad. But the manager really recruited well. Some good lads. Got a lot of lads for down in England who had a point to prove, like myself, that could still play. And then there was other lads that came in that inherited the boy Liam Boyce that plays with Hearts now. Paul Quinn, who used to be here. Paul Quinn came up with me. I sucked him into get up as well. So he recruited really well. We stayed up that season. Then the following season, we were the first team in Ross County's history to finish top 6, and that's the season we won the League Cup as well, which was great.
What was that like?
Brilliant. Well, I'm a Celtic fan, and we had them in the semis, so that was strange in itself. Where I had my oldest there. Sorry, he's a Celtic fan as well. My
who did he want to win?
Boy. So I think, my mum and dad, full family, are all mad Celtic fans. So I'm looking at them going, I end up scoring in the game. I'm thinking he was cheering, or he was like sticking the finger up at me here. I don't know what he's going to be doing, but they ended up, they were buzzing. We beat them in the semis 3-1, and then we went on to the final and we beat Hibs in the final, which was a great experience. For a club like Ross County to win a trophy was mad. I mean, Hibs, massive club. We played them in the final. Well, Celtic speak for itself in the semis. Played Hibs in the final. Hibs ended up going on to winning the cup the following year, and their open top bus parade had 250,000 people there.
Bloody hell.
So Ross County was, Dingwall itself's got 6,000 people in it.
Are they?
Yeah. So for a club like Ross County win it was mad. And that's just down to the chairman mainly being a big Ross County fan, and him being absolutely caked and being able to. If he walked away for the club, I'd worry about the club itself. But he's so passionate about it that they're in safe hands, and he really ploughs his money into it, and they're way shooting above where they should be. They're back in the Premier League now, and they're doing great, to be fair. So fair play.
What were the celebrations like after that?
Carnage, Carnage. That was a lively group. That.
Alright.
Whoa. Crazy group. Quinny was one. Quinny's lively.
Is he?
He's lively. But there was a few disasters in that squad that were just,
characters.
Oh, mental. It was every single day, mate. And I think that brings the group together. There was some mad boys, but every single day somebody was up to something that was just nuts, and you'd be like, what's going on in here? But it just brought everybody dead.
You need that atmosphere, don't you?
Brilliant. It was class. That was a great group. We had a lot of good groups at Doncaster, bar the group that was a predominantly French group. That was a tricky year, but predominantly at the club at Doncaster, it was a great group, and it was similar to Ross County. You always recruited the right characters, and there's no coincidence you end up being successful with the right characters and people pushing each other on, So that was good.
Obviously, then moving on to obviously your previous 2 seasons at Halifax. Obviously, played in the National League. Obviously, I want to quickly ask, obviously, what it were like there. To be fair, because obviously going from playing obviously in the Premier League with Sunderland, Rotherham, and the Championship, Doncaster Championship, and obviously playing in the National League, and obviously over years the National League, obviously the standard of it has obviously got a lot better. How did you find it at Halifax?
Strange at times. You then go into an environment where the manager hadn't played football, the assistant hadn't played football, none of the coaches had played football, so you went into an environment that was a bit different. They do the right things, they coach well. You've got no food after training. I know it's things that people think, you're a little prima donna, but little things that you've been used to, and it's different where you've got your right recovery there, you've got everything at the training ground, where I think even the main thing about having lunch after training is having the boys all together and speaking, and things like that were totally different. But I can crack on with things like that, no problem. The standard itself, some of the players Halifax had surprised us. They're decent footballers, good footballers. The thing I think the most frustrating bit at times, you feel as if maybe you're plugging gaps because people are leaving them not thinking. So people maybe at times they don't see the game like I've been used to before, where you'd need to not do what you'd like to do because you need to plug a gap because somebody's left it, and different things like that. That was a bit that I had to get my head around as well. But in the main, I enjoyed it. The first season, if I'm being honest, was rubbish because there was no fans in it. So that was strange.
COVID, was it COVID?
Aye, that was strange.
Was Halifax playing in COVID as well? They were, weren't they?
Yeah, we played. So that was weird, mate. That was very weird. That I didn't enjoy that. It feels as if you're slapping yourself in the face to get up for a game where you're like, this is dead here.
Wow.
So that was a bit weird. But we just missed out in the playoffs in the last game of the season, which was disappointing, to be fair. We should have easily been in the playoffs that season. To then the second season is actually losing in the playoffs, but up to 2-3 games left, we could have actually won it.
Yeah.
If results went our way, we could have actually won it.
Obviously, in the summer you're at a quick crossroads now. Obviously, with what you want to do. Do you want to quickly explain about that? Yeah,
well, I've been working the academy with Doncaster, which I've enjoyed, to be fair. But I'm at a crossroads where I've done a degree last year in applied management, which was just kind of different roles within football clubs. So I still want to play, I still love it, but I'm trying to find the right club. That's why I had the chat with the new manager at Halifax, who was the assistant last year. So the assistant got the job this year. Had a chat, and I wanted to because I got on so well with the boys, I wanted to be able to bridge the gap. So be a coach. I wanted to be player coach this year type thing. So when we had a chat about it, when it never came to fruition, felt as if it was time to kind of set new targets and look what I'd like to be really getting into now. So I'd like to crack on with certain bits of coaching, but I still want to play. So it's been able to marry both together that hopefully I can do at some stage, and the right thing will pop up.
Do you reckon? Obviously, I know I'm going to ask you about it anyway, but obviously I know that you're playing a bit with that Doncaster City.
No, I've seen that.
Do you want to quickly, obviously, I just want your thoughts on obviously the whole thing itself. Obviously, it's a bit confusing, isn't it? Because obviously starting the standard that they're playing at now is, well, it's below the standard I play at, which says a lot. No, I don't think it is actually, but like I said, building a club up from scratch takes a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. You've got somebody that's driven in place with Willie, and his family that's in place that would drive it to a place where maybe get to a point where they are leagues above. I just went down, I've seen it on Twitter, and I've asked loads of people asking, are you signing there? No, Willie asked me to come down to do him a favour and be part of the game that they played, and I got another few lads who I think they failed to mention that were there that night. There was another few lads that came down, one ex-Donny player came down that night, and a few others were meant to come. So it was just to Willie asked me to do him a favour, so it was no bother at all to come down and do him a favour. Willie's sound, and no bother at all to come down and do him a favour, and I wish him all the best with it. And I think you've got somebody that's driven to make it successful in place, and they've got plans for sports complex and all the rest of it, so they're trying to do the right things. And
it'd be good to have someone something that does compete with Doncaster Rovers.
I don't think it'd even be a rivalry, mate. It's absolutely a long time away from that, you know. So it was just Willie's got an idea and he's went with it, and wish him well with it, and that's but no, I'm not signing. No, it's I've asked a few times.
I bet you've had it a lot, haven't you?
A few people have said, because the Twitter thing went on, are you signing there? And I was like, no, it wasn't even about that, mate. It was just, can you come down? So I came down initially. He says, can you play 20 minutes, just like to then in the game, I think they were 3-0 down. He says, can you go on now? And it was at half time.
Was it at half?
I says, that's 45 now, mate. Sucked his rap out. He said 20 minutes. I went on, mate. I just played centre back. He kept running forward with the ball. I had a few shots at halfway line and that, mate. I was enjoying it. It was my first kick about in the summer, to be fair. So no, I enjoyed it, to be fair. It was good, but no, I'm not signing there, mate.
I bet it was something a bit different as well, wasn't it, to be fair? Just
it was good crack, aye. It was good crack. It was basically, they had trialists in, and they wanted
to see what they were like.
To see what they were like and see who they would sign. So that was the reason for the game. That's the reason why a couple other boys came down, because they just wanted support and to show that he's that type of guy. Well, he's sound, and he likes to make things happen. So that's what he done that night. Tried to bring a few together.
The non-league scene in South Yorkshire is good at the minute. It's probably the best it's ever been, to be fair. So We're going to go on to some quick fire to finish, some quick fire questions just to round off the lively bit. So I'm going to ask you, we're going to do two little sections. So we're going to do best football stories. I know that we had a chat about this, and we say, oh, it's PG, but I'll let you hang over the line a little bit.
Oh, mate.
And then we've got quick fire best. You can name a few because I know that there's probably loads, but like some of the best players you've played with in your career, if you're alright to answer them.
That one, the first one could be an issue.
Do you reckon?
Mate, mine's are all outrageous either. Totally filthy. I wouldn't like to do it to you.
So first one where we'll go best football story on the pitch.
On the pitch. So best thing that's happened to us on the pitch.
Yeah, because we'll say best thing that's happened to you on the pitch.
I think I'd say probably make my Premier League debut, mate. Yeah. That was a big buzz. I mean, geez, I went on the park, mate. It was Gerrard, Alonso.
Bloody hell.
I was like, what's going on here?
Was that at Sunderland?
No, it was at Anfield.
Wow. What's family there?
No, they didn't expect me to. No, they didn't. That's much confidence I had in me, mate. They didn't expect me to play, but I ended up getting on, mate. I'm looking around going, what is that there? Playing against whoever it was in League One last year for Hartlepool. So then I'm looking over going, what chance have I got here? And I've got a picture of me running with the ball down the line and Alonso trying to tackle it. It looks as if I've nipped past him with the ball and took it down the line. He's tackled me, mate, but it looks as if I've got past him. So I'll keep bringing that up every now and again.
You got that in a frame and that?
No, not yet, to be fair. That might be one though. I might get that framed, that one. Looks as if I'm rapid and I've took him on down the line, but that was probably I loved that moment, to be fair, mate. It was always what I set out to be. My two main things I'd always dreamed about, mate, was playing the Premier League, but more so was playing with Celtic. Yeah. Never managed to do that, obviously, but
that's mad. That was my Anfield.
That was nuts. Nuts, aye.
What did the atmosphere like Anfield? They always wonder about. Was it good?
Great.
Was that one of the best you played under?
I really liked my first start was at White Hart Lane. Yeah. And because it was so tight and it was a great wee feel to it. Pitch was class and we nearly won that one, I know, mate. And that was a good day. That was a good day as well. That was a good atmosphere, but Liverpool was good as well. It's the tight grounds, you love it, don't you?
There's less of them now, isn't there? It's a bit of a shame, like especially in the Premier League, like them stadiums that they feel like they're almost on top of you, don't they?
It's class. Yeah. Hearts is like that in Scotland.
Is it?
Really on top of you, getting stuff chucked in you, ready to like take well, I don't take many throw-ins, but lads that do, you get guys near enough like pulling you back, like stopping you from going forward to throw it in, and it's class. That's what you want, mate. You love it, a bit of abuse in your ear and that, like you're like, and you can give them a bit back. It's good crack. To then go into the Shea last year, mate, and the fans are that far away because of it used to be an old, I think it used to be an old racetrack or something. It's quite far away, so it's they're the grounds you love.
Brilliant. Next one. So I know that you went on a few pre-season tours, but have you got any special? Obviously, do you want to quickly explain where you went on some pre-season tours?
I saw me. Went away Dublin with Leeds.
But that was
Peter Reid was manager.
Well,
that was lively. I didn't drink, but just even not at the time. No, I never drank till I was 21. So at the time, I'm watching some of them booze and going, "Whoa, that's heavy going." That. It was me, Aaron Lennon and James Milton. Those two have went on to slightly better careers than me, mate. But it was those three that went away pre-season. With the first team, Peter Reid took us away, and it was lively, mate. That was a good tour, and played some good games over there. Played Villa and played some of the local teams. It was good. The best one I would say was with Sunderland. We went to like a tour like Vancouver, Seattle. So back then MLS wasn't massive, mate. So I'm playing against we played Portland Timbers, Seattle Sounders. Now you know the script with them. They're big. Back then, mate, I'm like, who? What?
Yeah, really.
It was that stage where they're just forming them.
Yeah. Were they poor? Was it a poor standard, or were they actually?
Vancouver had just started out. They were poor.
Were they?
Aye. I should have stopped playing with Sunderland after the Vancouver game, mate, because I scored like a 35-yarder.
Did you?
I should have just finished there, mate. That was the best moment I'd done there. So pre-season, that was the first game pre-season. But the tour in general was class.
Lively.
Oh,
most lively one.
That group at Sunderland was another lively group.
Yeah.
It was a young group of guys.
Yeah.
But that was carnage. They were a lively group as well. It was a weird dynamic. I was talking about young lads and older lads, the respect.
Yeah.
But the young lads, the older lads, so the younger first team players would go in one changing room. Further down, about 20 metres down, there was the older lads' first team changing room. They used to hate walking past the young ones because the grief they used to get was
off the younger ones.
That's not right, is it? But
no.
That's the way it used to be. Like they'd be walking out like shimmying dead quick to get down because their gear was that bad. Because their gear was shocking. Like they used to hate it, but it was a great group of young first team players there at the time. It was good crack, to be fair. But that trip was class. So it was Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, maybe Chicago, mate. That was brilliant.
Obviously, I know we're gonna. The next one is night out, but I know obviously there's PG and all this. So I'm gonna ask, what was probably the best night out after maybe a game or a certain let's say, I know probably Ross County as well. That was probably a lively one after winning that League Cup. Yeah. But obviously, probably one of the best nights out with the most lively group. Would you say?
I've had a few nights. Been a few lively nights. I would say the most I've enjoyed at Sunderland and Leeds I never drank. Me getting out, I'm still a bit. Do you know that sober guy that's just watching every day with the carnage? To then drinking a few years later and you're right in the mix with the carnage. I'd say probably Ross County was the best nights out, just because you're right in the mixer and it's all. We went to Dublin Christmas do, and that was just nuts.
Dublin the place, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But I think we're the only group that see the Dubliner, the bar in Temple Bar. We were chucked out there before 1, and that takes some going, mate. In the bars, they let everything go, but we were out before 1 o'clock. Just a mental group of lads, and it was good, but done in the right way. No fighting and all the rest of it. Just up for the crack, and it was. I'd say one of them Ross County Christmas do's, just nuts. Good though.
Brilliant. So now we're going to go on some quick fire. Obviously, some of the best players you played with. I know I'm not going to say one because I know that there's probably that many. So we're going to go through each different position. So who would you say is kind of probably the best goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers you've played with?
I would say Neil Sullivan.
Really?
Yeah, just because you knew what you were getting. He was older. He was certainly coming at the end of his career, but you knew what you were getting. Reliable. He would just read shot in training. It was hard to score past, to be fair. You'd have thought because he's older, but he just see with the way you're planting your foot, he would just be there and you just like, how annoying are you, man? Like you're trying to put all sorts of eyes on it, but he sees your eyes. And he was a great keeper and very reliable, and I think that's the main thing you'd want out of a keeper.
Definitely.
That he's reliable, you know what you're getting, and a solid guy he was as well. So he'd certainly be right up there, Sully, I'd say.
Brilliant. Defender.
Defender, right. Just think about this. I mean, I could chuck some stupid names, but I never played with them properly. I was a young guy at Leeds, but at Leeds it was like, when I first went there, it was like Woodgate and Rio.
Oh, really?
But I only trained with them the odd time, mate. So I couldn't say I played with them. So guys I'd actually played with.
My granddad actually recruited them, I think.
Is that right, mate?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's when you were there, maybe as well.
That's mad.
He did mention it actually when I said, I'm doing one with you, and he said, I remember. He remembers you when you were there, yeah.
I would say defender. So you're talking about Sunderland. Gary Breen was really good. I don't know if you remember him. He was really good. He was actually due to go to Inter Milan.
Really?
So when Robbie Keane went to Inter Milan, Gary Breen was met. That's who they wanted, Gary Breen. But he went over to Italy and he failed the medical. That's how good he was after the World Cup. When Ireland done really well, Gary Breen was class, mate, and you could see it. He was brilliant. Alan Stubbs was really good there as well, but we weren't particularly good, so they got hung out to dry at times, to be fair. Here we had some good defenders, mate, like Jim O'Connor. Our fullbacks were good. Jim O'Connor, with Matt Mills at the back, he played different way. Sam Hurd would play. You had Jason Shackle that came for a bit. You had Gaz Roberts and Chambo there as well. So to pin one down, mate, as a defender, hard.
That many.
Do you know who was actually really good? Couldn't probably lace any of their boots in a way, mate.
Who?
But the impact that he had on the football club when he was here, Rob Jones when he came here, the impact that he had in that one season as a man and a leader was brilliant. It was remarkable in a way that he basically pulled everybody to go along with him, because I think Brian Flynn was a quiet manager and all the rest of it, but Rob Jones really dragged the full group to promotion.
That day at Brentford as well. Yeah.
And he was like that the full season, mate. He just dragged everybody along with him, and he was a proper leader and a proper man. So he couldn't lace them as footballers' boots. Like,
as a leader,
As a leader, it was certainly that one season. He was, what he done? He got Donny promoted that year was unbelievable.
Brilliant. So obviously now on to midfielders. So obviously, being a midfielder yourself, obviously pretty much who you like to play with. Obviously, some of the best players that you played with in that position. We'll go maybe in the middle of the park and out wide as well with this one. We'll let you name a few.
I'd say as a left mid, Hulu Arca at Sunderland was brilliant.
Really,
Hulu Arca was so silky to watch, mate. Drags and rolls and wee nutmegs and class. Argentinian guy was unbelievable. Centre mid's a tricky one, mate. The ones I most enjoyed playing with here, you had Stocky, Wellens, I only had a wee bit with Greenie my first season, but he moved on to Derby. Greenie was a good player as well, but he moved on, so I couldn't include him. Grant Ledbetter at Sunderland was a really good player. You had Simon Gillett, who was really good. John Ostlet was really good. Mate, there was so many, and that's where they've
had some class centre mids, haven't they?
Aye, mate, that's where
Donny.
We always kind of recruited well in the area. Quentin Fortune came for a bit, mate, and couldn't get in. It was mad. Although his knee, he had half a knee, I think, but he'd be hobbling on the pitch at times. But he was an odd good guy, him as well. They always recruited well in midfield with footballers, and that was part of the manager's make-up. He'd always recruit well with the midfielders. Cops obviously played just in behind, sometimes in the right. Cops was brilliant to play with.
Did you think he'd play as long as he did?
Well, at the time when I first came, mate, Cops played that full thing. Then the first season, the champ, he found himself kind of in and out at times, the team. But his mindset's like it managed for him to keep going, and he's kept going throughout. And even when he went back to Forest, he's come back, and it never really happened for him at Forest, but he had it in him. Then he scored. It's just mad, isn't it? He scored that last game to get us promoted at Brentford. Cops was so good to play with his weight of pass and his little checks off line and 1-2s round the corner, and to train when he played with me, he was really good. Wellens was a great footballer, but proper moaner. Do your nothing sometimes. Stocky was a really good footballer, but he would be more diags and long balls. The rest would kind of try and play wee triangles, and Stocky could do that as well, but Stocky was a proper footballer as well. And Oster was silky, and Gilly was different in different roles as well. But we had some good midfielders, mate, to be
class.
Fair.
Attackers, obviously, I bet you played with some good attackers in your time as well.
You couldn't look beyond Sharpie when he's here, really. But there was Hates and Hef as well, who were really good when they were here.
Heffernan.
Hef was great. His movement was brilliant, mate, and underrated in a way.
Jan said that was the best striker he played with.
Did he?
Yeah.
He was underrated. His movement was great. I had a great wee kind of link up with him when he'd set off, and I just knew when to kind of play it, and we had a good understanding, me and Hef. Hates was good as well, but Sharpie's goals, mate, and where he scored. But not particularly the best footballer, but he does the hardest thing in football, mate. He does the hardest thing in football and scores goals, so you couldn't grumble at that. Sharpie was. He just scored goals no matter where he was, mate.
Brilliant.
And he's always continued to do that, hasn't
he? Yeah, he's still going, isn't he? Right, we've got 4 final ones now. 4 quick fire ones. Best football boot you played in? So what?
Oh, there was these Zoom Air white. Zoom, I think they were called Zoom Air, mate. Rooney used to wear them. You had white and red ones.
Yeah.
There was white and silver. I loved the white and silver, so I used to always try and get these white and silver Zoom. I think they were Zoom Air called. I don't know what the actual. I think they were just called Zooms. Not the one with the 90 on it.
Yeah.
The ones after them that had like.
No, I think I know.
Do you know the ones I mean?
Yeah.
Mate, for years I had to go onto this website. I think it was Amazon or something.
Yeah.
No, it was maybe not Amazon. It was another website I had to go onto
just to get them.
Get the old ones. I need these boots. Like they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
You feel as if you can't play in any other boots bar these. They were the boots, mate. I loved them. Loved
Did you play in them for quite
loads of years, mate.
Did you?
Aye, loads. Aye. They were class wheels. To be fair, mate. I've always been Nike. Always been Nike. I wore Adidas. Weird as it sounds, mate, I wore it in the cup final. I don't know what I was thinking, to be fair, but I wore it in the cup final, mate. I never wear them, and I wore them my first season at Halifax. And this is daft as this, mate. It was because Halifax's kit was Adidas.
So really?
What a donut, mate. But I went back to Nike. I love Nike, mate.
Yeah, Nike's the best. I agree.
Yeah.
Next one. I know you said that Sean O'Driscoll was probably one of the best coaches you played under. I was going to say best gaffer that you've played under. I know it's quite similar, but
as a man manager, Mick McCarthy.
It's quite different, isn't it? Like a coach then to a man manager. It's very different.
I think so, aye. But you can have a good coach with you, like Mick McCarthy would, and he did have ever since. So Mick McCarthy's a man manager. Sean O'Driscoll is a coach.
Yeah.
Aye.
Brilliant. Next one. Would you like to be a gaffer at any point, or would you like to stick to coaching?
I'd like to be a manager at some point, mate. I'm not ready for it now or anything like that, but I've always, I feel as if I get the best out of people, like in groups. Just always kind of, I've had people's backs, and I'm quite an honest guy as well. You take things with different people, don't you? But I've always been brought up as an honest person. I feel as if you're honest and straight up with people, they'll give you more. So then what you then fill them on a day-to-day basis with info and tactics and things they take on, they're more likely to take it on because they know it's coming for a good place, you know what I mean? And if you've got constructive criticism for them, they're more likely to take that on board as well. So you pick that up for Mick McCarthy said something to me, I know it'd be coming for a good place. Do you get me? So maybe at some stage, mate, it's not a short-term goal of mine, but you never know what the future. There's not many jobs kicking about, is there? So,
no.
Maybe it's a long-term goal of mine, but certainly not short-term. But we'll see. We'll see what the future brings.
Brilliant. Last one. How many seasons do you think you'll have left playing?
My aim's to go until I'm 40, mate.
Is it?
Aye. But as I said to you before we come on here, it's quite an ageist sport. I feel better now than I did in my late 20s when I first came back from injury, Tony. Miles better.
Do you keep keep yourself in good shape as well, like eat well and stuff?
I always ate well. I've always looked after myself on that side of it. But body wise and legs wise and that, I feel totally fine. I've never had any serious knees or ankles or anything like that, which is good, pleasing in a way. So always felt as if them 2 and a bit years I left at Don, I'd get back at the end of my career. It's just hopefully the manager will see that now, mate. That's the aim. I'd like to play until I'm 40. Circumstances might change that. I might get offered something that's not to do with playing, that make me change my mind on that. But that's what I'd like to do.
Yeah. Do you reckon you would, let's say if something came round now to obviously in football, something that you'd want to do, do you reckon you'd take that over playing?
There'd be a couple of things that would make me do it, a couple of job roles that would make me do it, but it would need to be the right role to make me want to retire, because as everybody says, you just keep playing as long as you can.
Still loving it, aren't you?
I still enjoy it. I enjoy it.
It's a big part of your life as well, that obviously goes when you stop playing in it as well, innit? Obviously Saturdays are obviously known for playing football, and then when it's gone, you do miss it, don't you?
And how do you recreate that buzz? How do you do it, mate? Like, do you need to go start competing in marathons or something? Do you know what I mean? That I don't really enjoy doing long running, so do you start doing CrossFit or something? You need to recreate it somehow, that buzz, or maybe you will find yourself sliding mentally, because you've had that for I've had that for 20 years now, that buzz of playing football, that how do you? I always find these spells like this when I've not signed anywhere yet. They're quite challenging at times. You've got to keep yourself. You've got to keep your getting up the right time, and you've got to be able to set yourself wee challenges in the day. But it's quite hard not because you can't recreate that thing that buzz, and that's something that you kind of thrive on. Do you know what I mean? So that's I would miss that. So that's I want to have that as long as I possibly can.
Brilliant. Obviously, final one. You enjoying your role at Rovers? Enjoying coaching the academy there?
I do enjoy it. I've got a good wee group, a good group of honest lads, and they take everything on that you speak to them about, and good group of people round about. Steve and Adam's at our phase, and then they've invited me in to do kind of have a look at what they do at the 18s. So I go in the 18s on a Thursday. So I'm enjoying that part of it as well. You're picking up different things and you're seeing what the levels are like, and I'm enjoying it. So long may that continue, and then we'll see what happens on the off side of it, mate. If I can get myself a wee gig playing football, marries it both together like I done last year, and I enjoyed doing it. So hopefully the right thing will pop up.
Brilliant. I just want to thank you for your time, mate. I appreciate it. I know actually you're busy as well. So busy. I do appreciate you coming on, mate. I know that we've probably waffled on for a lot longer than half an hour. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, mate. A lot of people don't have the bollocks to come on and, do you know what I mean, speak in front of a camera, but no, proper appreciate you coming on.
No problem at all.
So yeah, thanks for everyone watching. I think this is going to be the last one before we start, maybe start back in a few weeks. But yeah, appreciate it again, mate, and yeah, thank you.